Hey, yo, what's up, Worcester? How's everybody doing out there in the live world? This is our first live. We got RG and Armida from, RG. I messed that up. Margie and Armida from now. Yeah, merging them.
Pretty
Might
creative.
as well, right? From Now I Thrive on Unity Radio 97.9 FM. It's an amazing show about inner work, right? Self-work, growth, and welcome to the show. This is our first live for you ladies. I'm so happy to be here on Facebook Live with y'all. So how you doing today?
Hi, everyone on Facebook Live. Thank you, Manny, so much for having us. We're excited to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you.
Yes, thank you for having us. And hi, everybody. And I love the creativity with the RG. We need to do something with that.
Just merge our names right together. I feel like it's perfect.
First thing Monday morning, your mind is already being creative. Love it.
Yeah. Hey, listen, it's Monday. That's part of it. We had a very long and exciting weekend. Jerry and I, we did a lot of things. Actually, on Saturday, we were in Webster for the main event. It's the Saturday main event day party. It's a long title.
Okay.
And also, just a reminder to everybody out there, we also went to the American Pyramid jersey fundraiser where they're raising funds to buy the jersey for high school boys and girls basketball team for Summer Jam, which will be on August 13th. So they were looking to raise $1,000. I'm not even gonna lie, I didn't get the total, but I'm sure they can always use more. You know how it is working with kids. So if anybody wants to donate, hit up American Pyramid or Anthony Bosa Barbosa to donate funds for the Summer Jam Classic. That's going to be on August 13th this summer.
That's
right around the corner.
amazing. Yeah, that's really amazing. And I love how that name flowed out of you. Can you say that name again? That something Barbosa?
Anthony Bosa Barbosa.
Why? Look at that.
Yeah.
That's a pretty.
I can say that, but I can't say. I can't say Margie and Armida.
You know, it was supposed to come out that way, so me and Armida can use that later.
You guys are one.
We will. So thank you for helping us create that.
Yeah, that's true. I'm looking forward to seeing it. And another thing that's going to be happening is this weekend. Actually, I am going to be part of an amazing event that is some youth that we have in the city. They're going to be having an album release party. So there's about seven kids on this album, including the Worcester Youth Laureate, Ariel Mejia, and AJ, Jovan Beats.
Awesome.
And they're going to be having an amazing album release. They're going to perform the whole album for anybody who's in attendance. The event is free if you want to come. All you got to do is hit me up on my Facebook or hit up Jeanette or any of the kids, and we'll make sure that you get the address because we can't keep it too public, but it's really open. Yeah. So if you guys want to come and hang out with us on Saturday from 6 to 10 p.m., just hit us up. We'll send you that address so you guys can come and enjoy their music. There's even a few surprises that are going to be. It's going to be an amazing time. So
look at you and all the work you're doing with the Worcester's youth. You're doing such a great job.
And so are you guys, actually.
Thank you.
I tuned into your show last week. You had the bowls.
Yes, I brought in my crystal bowls.
On
Wednesday.
I didn't know if there was a special name for them.
So there's some bowls that have special names. There's Tibetan bowls. There's dolphin bowls. These are just regular crystal bowls.
Okay.
Not regular. They sound magical.
And they're beautiful. The rainbow.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I got them rainbow so that when people see me playing them, they can envision what chakra they're being played for. So that's why they're the colors of the chakras.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. It's pretty
I need
dope.
to learn more about that. I do know a little bit about chakra, and I know, you got to get all those chakras in line so you could be your best you. Yeah? No?
Well, I mean, I would say that, so the chakras that we mostly look at are the 7 main chakras in our body. So our crown, our third eye, our throat, our heart, our solar plexus, our sacral, and our root. But there's actually thousands of chakra points in our body. Those are just the main ones.
Oh, that's a whole nother can of worms.
Yeah, a whole other can of worms. But these 7 main chakras, having them all be open and aligned and vibrating at the same frequency, great way to have your body internally be aligned.
Right. It's just, it like frees up the energy in your body, like so that it flows beautifully within you, right? And the energy can just radiate from inside of you. And a lot of that chakra healing comes from doing inner work and from us being able to speak our truth, from us to being able to open up our heart space, from us being able to accept, our past and get rooted and grounded and all that beautiful stuff that the show Now I Thrive, it's about getting people to get into flow with their lives, within their relationships, and all of that starts to open up open up all your chakras, you know.
And I love the name Now I Thrive because it's never too late, right? You can always start your journey to thriving.
Right.
It's never too late. And honestly, Armida and I came up with the name like so funny. So we actually both spoke at the She's Local Central Mass conference, and they had these notebooks, and in the notebooks it said Now I Thrive, and I was writing down our notes for like what our show was going to be, and on the top, Now I Thrive, and then it was our names, Armida and Margie, and I was like, oh my God, Armida, I think
just
that's our
presented
name
it
right
to you.
there. Just presented.
It was
like, that's
delivered
there.
on a silver platter. Like literally, we were brainstorming, and I love Thrive because the show before was now Rising and Thriving with Armida.
Right.
And then when we renamed it, rebranded, it was just like we were like, does it really get to be that simple? Like we were just laughing. I remember that. It was so beautiful.
Yeah, and I actually remember when you first started, Armida, when you were on your own, and you gave a lot of great advice, a lot of great insight, a lot of great perspective. How is it? First of all, how did you guys decide to start working together, and how do you feel like now that you have a, you know what I mean? I think it's so much more fun being on a panel with other people rather than doing it on your own.
Absolutely. So so I did the show for about a year by myself, and I loved it. I had a great time. It was definitely fun. I love what I do, so I showed up passionately each and every single week. Then I had Margie and I met last fall, and we just stayed connected. We went to a lot of events together, and our energies just really combined and collaborated so beautifully together that we kept saying like we have to work together. We couldn't figure out how and where, but we're like, you and I are going to do something together, right? We know we're going to do more than just one thing actually, but we were like, we need to start somewhere. And then she came on as a guest, and it was magical and beautiful. And then after that, we were like, well, why don't we just rebrand the show and you become part of the show, and it's the two of us. And I gotta say, I absolutely love it. It's so amazing when you are co-creating with someone else. I'm co-creating with spirit when I was on my own with the universe, and it was beautiful. But to be able to co-create with another person who's aligned with your vision and your mission, who sees things, not necessarily, I love that about us, because we have a lot of things in common and a lot of our perspectives are the same, but we also have differences. But we honor that and we respect that.
Yeah.
And I think it just flows so beautifully how we're able to do that, and we're able to combine that. And I think it shows our listeners, because there's times, it's evident that in certain little things, it's a little bit off perspective, but it shows our, being a relationship and a flow show, it shows people like you can still have differences with people and still create magic, right?
And not
so
everybody
really
agrees
real.
100%.
Right.
I mean, that's human nature. We're all going to disagree at some point.
Yeah, and I don't ever feel like I disagree with Armida ever.
Not at all. Neither do I.
It's more like her wisdom and her knowledge is differently learned than my wisdom and my knowledge, right? We have different backgrounds in the things that we are passionate about learning and bringing to other people, with a same common goal and a same common mission of helping people learn how to live in congruence with natural law and bring that flow into their life and relationships.
I see.
Yeah, so absolutely. There's definitely no disagreement. It's just obviously that there's certain things that our perspective are a little bit different, but it's beautiful to see that, because it brings a different energy. It brings, we're like rainbows. I believe that we all there's beautiful pieces of us, and we all are like, we have all colors of the rainbows, and being able to embrace that and being able to work with other people and bring the beauty within one another. And even if there might be a little difference, because we agree on everything, it's just we say it differently, right? And people can pick that up. And not only does it reflect that life and relationships are always going to be like that, because we look, perspective, but I think it also shows that, people, we all look at life differently. So certain things people are going to resonate the way that I say it. Certain things people are going to resonate the way Margie says it. So it opens up the door for more people to connect to the show and connect to the message, because now we're delivering the same message, but it's coming across a little bit differently. And and a lot of it is mostly the same. But in those instances that is a little bit differently, I actually love it, because I know that there's other people out there who can connect to my message or her message, because at the end, it's the same message.
It's It's the thing. And we're all
it's-
talking
it's
about
all
coming into
reaching.
yourself and coming into a place of love and compassion.
Right.
Yes.
And that message is reaching different audiences, which may connect with you differently than they do with you. So
Right.
it makes perfect sense. And
Right.
I mean, maybe disagree is too strong of a term. Like even you and I don't
Right.
always agree with, well,
ahead. Just
it's
say
not
it.
that I disagree, but I don't always see some of the things that you're trying
Right.
to teach me. And then
Right.
when you reword it or you
Right.
approach me from a different angle, then I'm able to learn it
Right.
and apply it. And then I'm like, wait, I actually do agree.
Yes.
Like I never did disagree.
So the thing is that it wasn't in your awareness, right?
Right.
It's making you aware.
Yeah.
And so it startles your egoic witness to be like, oh, no, that's not true.
Right.
And then you come back down in your root and your
What's
compassion.
with that, with ego? Why are we so in tune with our ego and not
Because-
more in tune with, you know, who we really are or who we even really could be?
We're conditioned that way. It's we're from birth we are conditioned to not trust that our heart is actually the thing that should be guiding us. We're told, you know, go with your head. What does your head say? Think,
Yeah.
think. Be in your
Think,
mind. Be in
right.
your mind.
Right.
Be in your mind.
Right.
But really, if we just trusted our heart to guide us, it would. Because honestly, our heart is the strongest organ in our body, not our
Yes.
brain. Our brain is the computer. It wants to follow directions. Our heart has to give us those directions. But we're taught the other way.
Right.
So someone like me, who I absolutely do rely on my thought process, how can I then, because I find myself struggling a lot when I feel something in my gut, I tell myself, no, that's not, you know, you're thinking too much, right? How can I tell the difference between when I'm thinking too much and when my heart's really trying to lead me down the path that's meant for me?
I love that you said that because, you know, we've talked about that before. So it's the intentional energy behind everything. You're either making decisions based out of fear or based out of love. A lot of decisions based out of fear obviously are coming from your ego and worst case scenario,
And
right?
your
Which is-
primal drive.
Right.
Yeah.
And decisions based out of your heart space and what's right for you and your authentic, because your heart space is what's connected to your authenticity, to your true self, to your true nature. That's what's going to get you to really make a decision that's in alignment for you. And I know we've discussed this, like anytime you make a decision, just pause, learn to pause and just take a couple of deep breaths to come back into your body, hand over your heart to bring you to that heart center. And then before you make any decision, like, what's my intentional energy behind deciding this? Is it out of fear? Is it out of love? And I know for me, when I'm making any decisions, if I go back, you know, I always pause and I make sure that it feels real and authentic to me by just taking that little pause. It really it's that quick. It can happen that quickly, and making sure that my decision is not based out of fear, which is my ego just trying to keep me safe, right? And it's, and like Margie said, it's a learned behavior from 0 to 7 years old. We're mainly living out of our heart space, but then we become programmed and domesticated by our environment and the people around us. If the people around us, you know, are judging us, are criticizing us, or other people, we pick up on all of that, and then we feel like it's unsafe for us to be ourselves.
Yeah.
And so then we start living from our ego, and there's a space for it because we definitely need to be able to process, right? So there's a balance. So you check in. My balance is check in with your heart space first, make sure the intentional energy is in alignment to your true self. And then from that space, well, you're going to have to take action. There's going to be some steps that your ego and your brain needs to come in and help you figure out, right? But being able to connect to your heart space first and then taking action from your logical mind, because there's a space for it. It's really important.
Yeah.
It's also like you have to put it into practice, right? So once you're practicing that, it becomes less of like you have to remind yourself to do it.
Right.
And also being able to witness that mind chatter, that stressed out brain, having that's a good skill to have. Being able to say like, I know I'm doing this right now. That's how you can change the behavior. If you're not aware, you can't change it.
Right.
Yeah. And I mean, I think it really is important too that we allow our kids to be themselves. And I mean, I was guilty of this myself. I wanted him to be so perfect. I really started stressing my son out. And like, we went to the doctor. They were to a point where they wanted to put him on medicine for ADHD. And I wasn't about that life. I wanted, because he wasn't like that from 0 to 4. He was like this amazing, innocent little being. And then, you know, I started getting him ready for school. I wanted him to be perfect. I wanted him to know how to write his name. I wanted him to know how to tie his shoes. All these things that, you know, he may not have been ready for. And then I'd start, you know, acting a little irrational, I guess would be the right word. And then really stressing him out to the point where I asked the doctor, before we approach medicine, let's approach change within the family. And luckily, myself and his mother were able to address our personal issues, and especially our issues surrounding perfection, because that's how we were programmed growing up. And long story short, they're good. No medicine needed. And I mean, that's not for everyone, but in my case, it took a little inner work, inner reflection to then help our son.
I love the awareness around that. I just want to say that how beautiful and how powerful was that you were able to realize, like, be aware, like, maybe I'm putting too much pressure on him, right? And being able to come back to center. That's huge. That's so huge. And I'm so proud of you. And he's so lucky to have you and his mom as parents, because you both were able to analyze that. And there's a time and there's a place for medicine. I'm not against medicine.
Yeah,
people
same
need
here.
it. And, and it helps. But being able to realize, like,
we're try the process first,
Or being aware, like, maybe we're putting too much stress. And that's one of the things that we talk about being in flow, is that perfectionism doesn't really exist, because we're meant for growth and evolution, right? So if you're meant for growth and evolution, it always means that you can always keep growing. And if you can keep growing, you're never going to really be perfect at anything that you're doing, because it's going to evolve as you evolve, right? And so that's just a false illusion that we create to survive in a world that doesn't feel unsafe, that feels unsafe, right? So perfectionism is a fear, really. Think about it. When we're saying we want something to be perfect, what's the intentional energy behind it? We're not good enough.
What are the driving forces?
Right.
I don't want to be judged.
Right. We're not good enough. And so now we think we need to show up and be perfect, but that doesn't exist at all.
We're deep in our people pleaser conditioning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm very guilty of that.
As a person who is recovering from being a people pleaser, because that was definitely a conditioning that I was deep in from my past and my traumas that I endured as a child, and the ones that I believed, the stories that I believed growing up about myself. So I feel like a lot of us don't even realize that we're doing such people-pleasing behaviors because we're not aware of that conditioning.
And what's crazy is, like, I never realized until very recently, in the work that I've been doing with you and since I've met you, so it's been very, very recent, how much literal brainwashing I had endured growing up. I remember, like, with my sister, she's so confident, she's so outgoing, she's so herself, and really doesn't care what anyone else has to say, that they would call her names. Like, family members would say she's mean, or she's, use the B word, things like that. And because I didn't want to be talked about like that, I would do whatever I knew that they wanted me to do for them, just to avoid them.
Yep. You created a story around confidence, right?
Yeah.
That's what happened. You were little. You didn't have the tools. You saw your family, people around you react to someone that you saw
And
as being
literally
confident.
immediate people.
Right, right. As being confident. And you're like, oh, I don't want them talking about me like this. So subconsciously, you're like, well, I don't want to be confident. If that's what confidence looks like, then I don't want to be confident. And that's why, and have this confidence. And then you grow up your whole life saying you want to be confident and you want to feel, empowered. But subconsciously, you created a story that's self-sabotaging you, right? So that's why becoming aware of those patterns and how we're showing up is so important, because then you can elevate the perspective, change, shift the story, elevate the perspective, become present, become grounded. And then from that space, you get to create whatever you want.
A really cool thing about belief systems is that we can agree to not agree with them anymore, right? Like, we can track back to that space where we agreed with that story. Like, I'll give you, for example, when I was a kid, if my mom didn't agree with what I was saying, or she didn't like my emotion, or she thought that I might be fibbing, she would make me look in the mirror and tell myself I was a liar. So I was conditioned for a long time. I thought I was a liar. I believed I was a liar. And anything that encouraged that story made me be deeper in that story. So even another, for example, like, my brother knew that would happen. I have a twin brother. And so when we were little...
I had no idea you were a twin.
I am a twin.
That's cool. Cool facts.
Cool facts. I'm a twin brother.
Yeah, what's up, Worcester? Margie's a twin.
He, in his conditionings, because he learned that mom thinks Margie's a liar, right?
Yeah.
He would then use it against me. If you don't play this video game with me or let me practice wrestling moves on you, I'm going to tell mom that you did A, B, and C, and she's going to believe you because you're a liar and I'm not, right? Because he
Right.
saw that happen. So for a long time, I believed that narrative that I was a liar. And because I believed that narrative and I held on to it, one, yeah, I did lie about some things. I would lie to people please. I would lie to protect myself. I would lie out of fear. And so then I also felt really unauthentic because I was lying. I wasn't being true to myself. And I was believing and staying in that narrative that I was a liar. And so I also didn't think that what I really truly felt and needed and wanted didn't matter because my voice didn't matter because people didn't believe what I had to say.
Yeah, and it almost feels like you're like self-imprisoned. It's a terrible
you
feeling.
feel stuck.
I feel very stuck. So when you can track back to what created that story, right? The person didn't, like, my mom didn't mean to make that a lifetime thing that I believed for the rest of my life. Not the rest of my life, but for, a good chunk of my early adolescence and early adulthood, really, early in my 20s. And so tracking back and, like, you're self-parenting that inner child and being like, that's not true. You're not a liar. We're not agreeing to this anymore.
Right.
Your words do matter. And people do care about what you have to say. And more importantly, like, you don't have to lie for people to like you.
Right.
And so being able to do that with any instance of a belief system we're stuck in, we can do that once we have the awareness.
Yes, beautiful story. And I know I've heard it before because we talked about it on the show, but it's so true. A belief is just a thought you keep thinking. So you change the thought, you change the belief, but you have to be aware of it enough to be able to shift it and choose differently. And we get to choose who we want to be and how we get to show up. And just because we believe that we have been this person all of our life doesn't mean that we can't change that narrative in this present moment, right? And I think that's a process that we all go through when we go through this healing and work, is that you get to change things, and sometimes it's hard because sometimes you've been this person all your life and now all of a sudden you're shifting to be something else and you're afraid of, first of all, like, who am I, right? Like, if this is who I've been all my life, and you kind of hold on to that energy to kind of like, this is, you define yourself as this person, and then it's like, if I remove this, then who am I, right? But from that space is where you get to create who you truly want to be and show up authentically and speak your truth so that you don't feel stuck, and so that you can know that your voice matters, what you have to say matters. And if you don't speak your truth, this is why we get out of alignment. One of the big reasons we get out of alignment.
Wow, that's a lot. And it's been a lot for me to handle, which is why, your courses, for example, takes
16 weeks.
16 weeks.
I have a 16-week program.
I was going to say 17.
Yeah.
I was close. I'm just hoping for an extra week. That's how it is.
Come on. You got it.
But we're going to take a quick break. We got just to let Jerry take a break, let the cameras chill out, maybe discuss what we're going to talk to when we come right back. We're going to let everybody go do what they do. We'll be back in just like 2 minutes. 2 minutes, guys, so don't go too far. We'll have a new live up, and we'll go into the second segment here on the Sit Down with Margie and Armida of Now I Thrive and Manny of the Sit Down. What's up, Worcester? We'll be right back.